I know that you will catch me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this editorial discussion class. Today we are going to discuss an important and somewhat controversial topic, which is the very idea of fraternity. If you see the title of this topic, whether the fraternity in India is different from the idea enshrined in the constitution. So, as you know, fraternity as an idea or as a concept or as a principle is very much present in the constitution. If something is present in the constitution, it should be implemented or operationalized. Despite 7 decades of independence, what is the status of fraternity in India? Whether the idea of fraternity which is present in the constitution is actually translated into practice in Indian polity and society, that is what we are going to discuss. We will be discussing this idea from 2 points. One, from a theoretical point of view. Second is the actual practice. This topic is a bit complex in the sense that not much reading or not much explanation or not much teaching is focused on this idea of fraternity. Even if you look at your notes or maybe the textbooks which you read, this word fraternity is, the space given in those textbooks for the word fraternity is very minimal. But although the word fraternity has very significance, it is not given the amount of importance, whether in academic circles or in our society. Fraternity is the binding force that holds us together. So we are going to see whether that which is envisaged in the constitution as far as fraternity is concerned, whether that aim or aspiration of fraternity in the constitution is actually present or actually implemented in the Indian society. To begin with, the meaning of the word fraternity. Generally, it is defined as a feeling of common brotherhood. A feeling of common brotherhood. But the problem with this definition is it deals with brotherhood. Feminists may not agree with this definition because the problem is with this word brotherhood. Why not sisterhood? Isn't it? The problem with English language is that there are different words and nouns for male and female. In general vocabulary, we use gender-based pronouns. I mean, male-related words, nouns and pronouns, etc. If you see his, even for the President of India, it is sometimes used his office of President. But that is why we are going to use a different word for fraternity, which is a Sanskrit word. Although in the examination we will be dealing with the word fraternity, but I want to give you a better word, which is bandhutva, or also known as bantuta. Bandhutva or bantuta. This is a Sanskrit word which is gender neutral. It simply means the state of bindness, the state of being bound to each other, the state of solidarity, the feeling of coming together. If you define fraternity as a feeling or spirit of common brotherhood, then you are undermining the very idea of fraternity. You are excluding the women from that. Are you not able to understand? ऐसा देख रहे हो? Who said Bandhu is male dominant? In Hindi. This is a Sanskrit word. The root is Sanskrit. Various scholars have used this term in order to define or in order to denote the idea of fraternity. Right? It is not my invention. So you need to accept it. Right? Bandhu is not brother. In fact, Bandhu in Malayalam means relative. It is not the Bandhu. The word Bandhu is not the monopoly of Hindi language speakers. Right? Anyway, let us take the definition of common brotherhood. Let us translate it into common personhood. It's better. I have defined this that way. I mean, I have translated, not translated. This is my own definition. The feeling of common personhood. Person is much more gender neutral term. But anyway, even if you write the fraternity means a feeling of common brotherhood among people in a society, among a community, does not matter. It's correct. But anyway, let us see the presence of fraternity in the Indian Constitution. You know the preamble of Indian Constitution, which uses the word fraternity. Fraternity assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. This is the, I would say, phrase or a sentence which is in the preamble. What is the idea behind this? Why do you think that this emphasis on fraternity is given in the preamble? Why do you think so? Sense of camaraderie and communal harmony and so are you saying that because of the way Indian society is structured based on caste, religion, gender-based identities and various other identity markers, fraternity is difficult to practice? The Constitution gives emphasis on fraternity because the Constitution makers recognized the actual status of Indian society, the way Indian society is structured. And what is the transitional society? You are using Ansari sir's word, transitional society. Transitional society is in transition. Anyway, so you are saying that I understand fraternity is needed in the society like India because the Indian society is diverse, heterogeneous. Do you think that the diversity or heterogeneity is a problem against, is a challenge against fraternity? If diversity, heterogeneity of Indian society are challenges against fraternity, whether the diversity of India, whether the heterogeneity of the community in India, whether in terms of religious practices, food habits, dressing, whatever that might be, whether these are challenges or which prevent the formation of a feeling of brotherhood. Whether diversity is a threat to fraternity, that is my question. Yes or no? Can we have fraternity, the feeling of oneness, feeling of togetherness, feeling of solidarity, feeling of belonging to a particular nation, that is India? Because of this huge diversity, we are unable to develop that feeling of commonality, that is fraternity. Is it so? That is what I am asking you. Diversity per se, heterogeneity per se are not threat to fraternity.
The purpose of fraternity fraternity is not to create a single identity, but it is to generate respect for the diversity itself.
Respect for the diversity itself. Very good. So, what I can gather from your views is that existence of divisions or diversity or heterogeneity are not threat to fraternity. Even within the wide, diverse society like India, we can develop that feeling of fraternity. I want to ask you one more question. Heterogeneity is a challenge to fraternity and not threat. Heterogeneity is a challenge. How do you differentiate a challenge and a threat? The line separating the word challenge and threat is very narrow. Anyway, क्या बोल रहा था मैं? I want to ask you one more question. What is that question? ये problem होता है बीच में, क्योंकि पढ़ के तो आता नहीं है, मतलब पढ़ के इन द सेंस कुछ बुक तो नहीं, सब दिमाग में है, राइट? इसलिए वो हो जाता है. Yes. My question is, fraternity means common brotherhood or common sisterhood or bantuta or common feeling, solidarity, feeling of oneness. Can we see this fraternity in family, among friends, among a community which is organized based on caste, religion or a sect? Can we see this? My point is that the concept of fraternity is only political or non-political. The word political, I am using the word political fraternity. People believe that or feel that they belong to a political community, which is the nation or the state. Citizenship becomes the idea or organizing principle or basis for promoting the political fraternity. Citizens, I am the citizen of this country. You are everybody citizen. Although we don't know when the CAA will come and how many of you will lose your citizenship. The government of India still has not promulgated the rules, but they may or may be. Chances बहुत ज़्यादा है वैसे भी. But anyway, as long as of today, we are all citizens of this country. Does citizenship promote fraternity? Does citizenship promote fraternity? In order to answer this question, you need to go back to the evolution of the idea of fraternity. The evolution of the idea of fraternity historically, evolution means historically. When we see the development of the idea of fraternity historically, you will see that a progressive change on the organizing principle of fraternity. The basis on which fraternity was developed historically has progressively changed. From a non-secular communal organizing principle, fraternity has emerged into a modern secular principle. I'll explain this, how it is, which we have also provided that. I'm simply saying that modernity, the modern constitution, democracy, the democratic government, democratic systems, the idea of a nation, all these have formulated a different basis for which people can come together and develop that feeling of oneness or togetherness. What is that feeling? This feeling, this basis earlier was religion. Religion became the organizing principle. When I am using the word organizing principle, means the principle upon which people come together and form a group and develop that feeling, organizing principle. You can also use it fundamental basis, fundamental factor. So I am saying people had fraternal feeling. Fraternity is not a new concept. It existed from time immemorial. When individuals started living together and people started living together, when settlement happened, when family system developed, this fraternal feeling is there. It is not a new thing, but the way it is conceived, conceptualized and organized, the basis upon which fraternity stands, that has changed. All are children of God. All individuals belonging to this particular religion are one. They have one identity. And all those individuals belonging to this religion are brothers and sisters, because the base is religion. Religion becomes the organizing principle for developing fraternal feeling. I belong to religion A. If something happens to me, the individual belonging to the same religion should come to my aid and rescue. If you see the 100 years of war in the medieval history, what is that war? It is about Islamic traditions and Christian. All those rulers and aristocrats and various others practicing the faith of Christianity. They formed a group. They had divergences, differences, but because of to protect the religion, people formed that fraternal feeling. This organizing principle of fraternity on religion changed into something else during the French Revolution. The word fraternity, it has Latin and French root, but fraternity came into prominence in French Revolution. You must have heard about this principle or this slogan, liberty, equality, fraternity. French Revolution. Now the question is, people came together during French Revolution. The French came together to revolt. Revolution had a common purpose. What was the purpose? To overthrow the monarchy and to reduce the control of church on the political affairs. Can you tell me why people came together? What was the force or principle or bond that kept them together? Economic distress in the society. Okay, so economic distress. Economic distress is a secular principle or a communal one? Okay. And why do you think that they try to develop a constitution? If you see the French history, after the revolution, they try to develop a constitution. The people in French, those who partake in the revolution, they organized on the idea of citizens. We are all we have individuals having citizenship rights. That is the reason, if you see the French Revolution, you will see the declaration of the man and the citizen. Citizenship became the organizing principle for fraternity. It is true, one economic crisis became the cause, but economic crisis is not enough. The ultimate form to change the order of things, the way society is structured, the way power is distributed. As you know, the clergy and the aristocrat held almost all the resources. The rights of individuals were based on which strata, which society you belong. If you are a clergy, if you belong to aristocracy, then you have rights. You have to pay less tax. Others cannot have those rights, and there were tax imposition upon them. French Revolution provided the beginning point of fraternity based on citizenship, secular origins, secular principles.
Can we say fraternity as a ground for organizing group of people which can be class community, any ground?
That is the fundamental issue that we will discuss. Because in the Constitution of India, it simply says fraternity. Fraternity assuring the dignity of individual. If individuals are organized on the basis of caste, class, religion, then there may be fraternity within their group. Caste A, B, C, D. Within the group, there may be fraternity. But what about intercaste? We have not still come to the main point of our discussion. We are simply trying to see the development of fraternity. Religious hold The hold of religion on people reduced. People started to see that we belong to a nation, a state, a political community rather than a part of a religion or a caste as far as India is concerned. If you see the Western nations, majorly the feeling of fraternity, the feeling of togetherness, the commonality is not based on a particular religious identity. It is based upon the nation, citizenship, the state. If you consider all individuals within a country as citizens, then there will be higher chances of existence of fraternity. What do you, when you meet a person, what is the idea that comes into your mind? He is a citizen of this country. Is this the idea? No. Whenever we meet somebody, our attention will be on his dress or her dress, color, right? Whether class, caste, okay, caste may not be, you won't be able to know. But class you can see. इतना बड़ा सा गाड़ी में जा रहा है, अच्छा होगा, kind of thing, है कि नहीं? The idea of citizenship does not come into our mind. If the idea of citizenship does not come into our mind, the development of fraternal feeling will be very less. Because we will be seeing individual based upon their identity. That identity is not citizenship, citizen of this country. That is not the identity. The identity is gender. The identity is caste, class, food habits, dress, etc., etc. When we see individuals not as citizens but belonging to a particular group, then it is difficult to practice fraternity. How many of you read this? Anyway, this is something online. So I'm not going to tell you that. Anyway, when let's say, when you go out, let's say in Old Rajendra Nagar, there are multiple individuals who are in a very poor state, poor people, like people sleeping on the roads, not having enough clothes to wear. How many of us help them? How many of us? I'm also including me in this. Very good. Okay. But can it be regular? Is it possible to do it regularly? No. There have been multiple instances in India of late. Criminal rights, hate speech, politicization of identities, honor killing, misuse of legal provisions for targeting a particular group or community. Why do you think these things happen? If you feel that this individual sitting in front of me is my own countryman or countrywoman, and as long as he is or she is not doing something illegal, it is my bounden duty to help, or at least not to trouble that person. The Constitution of India says fraternity should assure the dignity of the individual. When you view people not as citizens of this country, when you view people as citizens of the country, then you are saying that individual have equal rights as I have. Citizenship means equality of rights, equal rights. When you see individuals as citizens, then you are valuing that individual. Valuing that individual means you are providing dignity, you are respecting dignity of that individual. Fraternity is necessary for dignity. Without fraternity, there cannot be dignity of individuals. If you start discriminating or segregating on the basis of caste, let me ask you, discrimination on the basis of caste. Let's say there is a public well where communities, as per the government, can draw water for their purposes. But one community is opposing the access to well from people from a particular community. Can we see fraternity here, or there is no fraternity? If there is common brotherhood, common feeling, togetherness, will that community prevent the people from other community from drawing water? Will it happen? If individuals from a particular community is being harassed through multiple ways, individuals from other communities do not react, do not even register their response or opposition, do we say that there is fraternity in India? During communal riots, we have seen that there are multiple instances where the administration and the police have become complicit and targeting one particular community. Do you think that the administration and police have the fraternal feeling? When individuals from a particular community have been assaulted for riding a horse during their marriage procession, do you think that there is fraternity? Indian Constitution tries to enforce fraternity in a society which is highly divided. The historical root of Indian society, the history of India is not a shared history. The history of communities in India are different. In such a situation, to develop the feeling of brotherhood or sisterhood for that matter, it's highly difficult, because a society which does not have a shared past cannot see individuals as belonging to one community. Without shared past, you cannot have a shared present or shared future. The Constitution of India, the makers of the Constitution were mindful, depends on situation, because casteism, communalism, regionalism. Yes, there are multiple challenges. Yes, regionalism is also an important factor. Linguism, language. There are multiple challenges. The point is that the Constitution makers realized the importance of fraternity in a society which is highly divided, highly heterogeneous, and especially which had the history of segregation based upon identity markers. Why do you?
We do have shared history. In spite of that,
We do have shared history. The experience of some caste are richer, enriching. For some other caste, they don't want to even think about that history. One of the reasons we are providing affirmative action and reservation is to alleviate or at least remove the stigma of the history.
whether shared history is necessary criteria for fraternity, because in the caste system we are having shared.
I understand. Okay, fine. Us.
In spite of that, feeling is missing, right?
Fraternity feeling missing among the caste. That might not be the case. Let's say in I'll give you an example here. You have two questions. I'll answer that. Maharashtra, Maratha caste is organizing protest for what? Reservation. Only Maratha caste. Jat in Rajasthan and Haryana, they are also trying to do. Pattidar in Gujarat. So there is fraternity. Even people are willing to die. That's the problem of India. That's what we are trying to say. The Constitution of India tries to enforce fraternity in a society which is highly divided. We are going to see how successful that experiment has been. That is what we are going to see. But before discussing that, we need to know the way the fraternity as a concept evolved from particularistic tendencies to general tendencies, from organization based on religious, caste, feudal or XYZ identities, a more secular notion of fraternity emerged. Like in the French Revolution, citizenship became. American Revolution, the ideas of fraternity were later extrapolated, or let's say incorporated in constitution of various countries. To have unity, we need to have fraternity. That is the reason in constitution preamble also it is written dignity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and dignity of nation. I am simply saying fraternity. Secular basis. What is the secular basis? Citizenship. One important basis, Indianness. We the people of India. Indianness. It's a more abstract term. What is more concrete? Indian citizenship. Citizenship is an organizing principle upon which fraternity stands as per the constitution. But the question is whether that enforced development of fraternity by the constitution has really worked in India. Whether the aims, aspirations of the constitution in the context of fraternity have been really implemented. How far we realize the objective of fraternity in Indian society and polity at this point in time. The constitution makers knew that the society is divided and it is not possible to break from the past. On one fine day, constitution is formulated, enacted, adopted. Do you think that things will change? Do you think that things will change overnight? No, it will not. Fine. But 7 decades have passed. What is the status of fraternity? Now, why are we dealing with fraternity? Why not other concepts like equality, justice, liberty? Why? Because if you see even your academic books, even among discussions, this concept of fraternity is very much ignored. If you see the Constitution of India, there are specific articles and multiple provisions dealing with liberty, equality. Article 14 to 19, right to equality, right to freedom, liberty. Where is fraternity? But without fraternity, there cannot be any equality and liberty. Fraternity, liberty, equality forms the troika, unity of triangle. Why is it necessary? ये वाला. Can anybody tell me why fraternity is necessary for equality? You will only treat individuals as equals then you have only when you have the common brotherhood feeling. Otherwise, you will not treat equally. Otherwise, other factors, non-secular communal factors will become the basis for treating individuals. The word communal does not mean religious. The word communal means non-secular. Here, in this context, I am using the word communal. It does not mean that political communalism. This communal mean it can be community. Communal basis, community. Community can be your caste also. Right? Community can be the sect. It can be religion. It can be the local community. But these are very narrow in scope. These identity markers are exclusionary. Caste है कितने लोग हैं बाकी लोग कहां चला गया. The most representative, inclusive organizing principle of fraternity is the idea of a nation. as the idea of nation is an abstract concept, we need to have more concrete principle, which is the citizenship. Without fraternity, equality is impossible. Equality means treating all individuals equally or similarly. So how will you treat? Inequality is the order of the day. Inequality is present. Without that feeling of oneness, fraternity is a feeling. It should come from. Without that, how will you treat individuals equally? You may be forced. It's true. The Constitution says, Article 14 and 15, let's say in 15, there is a provision. Punishment can be given. Untouchability, 17, punishment can be given. But you know the situation, how much individuals are being punished, and punishment has been given. But is it changing the way people are behaving? Is there a change or discernible change in the way people are behaving? Caste atrocities are happening. Even today it is happening. So legal basis or having the legal system is not a panacea for building fraternity. If the feeling comes into your mind that yes, all are Indians, we belong to one nation, the great nation of India, and we are all citizens, right-bearing individuals of this country. Doesn't matter we belong to A, B, C, D, caste, religion, does not matter. What matters is we are Indians. When this feeling comes into you, then you will not try to treat that individual based upon his caste or her caste or religion. You will not do that. Without fraternity, liberty is impossible. An example for you. If liberty is the ability to do anything you want within restrictions, the ability to do something with restraints, that is liberty. Because absolute liberty is not possible. Ability to do something within boundary. In a house, there is one brother and sister. Brother is given higher education, good food, clothing, etc. And that lady is not given. Why? Because society feels that, or the parents feel that, लड़की को पढ़ा के क्या करोगे? But the lady wants to study. She wants to pursue her goals in life. But her liberty is curtailed. Let's take the example into society. A lady wants to marry an individual from other caste. The Constitution provides liberty to do that. But society restricts it. Why? Because the feeling of this caste and that caste, there is no fraternal feeling between caste A and caste B. Not only the liberty of the individual is curtailed, but also the animosity between castes are increased. Without fraternity, you cannot exercise your liberty. That is what I am trying to say. Without fraternity, you cannot exercise your liberty. My liberty is, let's say I want to pursue higher studies. But society does not. Let's say I am a very small kid, I want to go to a school, in a public school. But I belong to this caste. I am unable to attend classes because of the caste. Not only that, you see what happened in here, Uttar Pradesh, that school, Muzaffarpur or Muzaffarnagar, where it happened? Where one child belonging to a particular community has been slapped. In fact, the teacher asked other students to slap a child belonging to one particular community. And not only that, it is seen in that video that the teacher is saying, you are not slapping hard enough. Jor se maro. Not only that, she was also seen using languages which are derogatory to one particular community. Now the child wants to attend the school classes. Even the parents are willing. But with such an atmosphere, will they be able to do that? Why do you think this issue happened? Will there be fraternal feeling between the child who was assaulted? I won't say assaulted. Can there be fraternal feeling between the children who slapped that child? Is it possible to have? The children's liberty is affected. That is the reason fraternity, liberty, equality, all three are, what we say, examined or seen together. But in the constitution, all the fraternity is given in the preamble, and we can see the various provisions, although not explicitly dealing fraternity. But fraternity as an idea, as a principle, have been given very less attention. But it is very much necessary. If you see the preamble itself, let's say unity and integrity of the nation. Unity and integrity, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual, and unity and integrity of the nation. How fraternity is linked with unity and integrity? If there is differences, if there are differential treatment by the state and the community based on identity markers, communal principles, then do you think that those individuals which are at the receiving end of this treatment believe that or feel that we are all Indians, we belong to the particular community? Will it create secessionist, separatist tendencies? Will it create internal security problems? One group is prevented from entering a temple because they belong to a particular caste. What it will create? Or let's say one group have been prevented from using a particular road. What kind of situation it will create? It may create a law and order problem. Unity and integrity. The word unity is territorial unity. Integrity is a feeling of psychological unity. Psychological. But if you are treated not as Indians, but as belonging to particular caste, community, sect, etc., what kind of integrity you will have? What kind of psychological feeling you will have? It may create a situation that you feel that this country is not mine. In the sense that this country, the country is not treating me as a right-bearing citizen. Lack of fraternity in society will lead to law and order problem, public order problem, national security problem, which will undermine the unity and integrity of the nation. Communal rights, anti-nexal operations, insurgency, Manipur violence. Manipur violence, why it has happened? Fundamentally, Meitei and Kuki. Had there been fraternal feeling, fraternity between the community, this thing would not have happened. Not only that, even after it happened, still continuing. Kitna mahin ho gaya? 3 mahine se zyada. And it is been accused or alleged that the administration, police and government missionaries are aiding one community or the other. Do you think that had there been fraternity between this community, this issue would not have happened? Does Manipur create a security problem or unity and integrity problem to India? One community said that we want separate state. Now they are saying state or separate administration. Northeast insurgency, the fundamental principle behind many insurgency was separate nationhood. You see the Nagaland, but we managed them by accommodating. Now what is happening is that we are trying, it seems that the good thing which we have done for the past 70 plus years, it is being undone. It is a fact that there are large number of incidents happening in the country. It is not only because of one particular community, one particular government, it is across the board. In some states, some areas it is higher, larger, but in some it's not. Ask.
why fraternity feeling is missing? Because there is notion of highness and lowliness, right?
Highly?
There is notion of highness and lowliness.
Okay.
So, and that notion is based on various factors like it's based on religious and economic and many other factors. So, my point is maybe if equality has to be created, like fraternity has to be created, then there should be equality on these parameters, like the feeling of lowness and highness should be reduced.
I'm not denying the fact that there is no two-way relationship between fraternity and equality. I'm not saying. If you practice equality also, then it can create fraternity. But the point is that how do you create equality in society? How do you believe that all are equal? Why did the American Constitution write that we hold that all men are equal? Even they use men. Anyway, why? But it has this constitution, or the constitution is a product of something. Equality is the consequence of fraternity, but it can also feed back to fraternity. Fraternity is a feeling. That is the reason it cannot be legislated. It is true, you can have laws, policies, etc., but it's a limited applicability. As far as equality is concerned, there are multiple laws, multiple interventions. You cannot penalize a person if you are not helping somebody. It's a feeling in that sense. It's a feeling. It may not be necessary that it should be reflected. If something happens somewhere, you feel bad. That is with fraternity. If something is happening in Manipur, you feel bad. Why do you feel bad? They are not your relatives. Why? Because they are Indians. It is also true that fraternity can go beyond the borders of the country. That's fine. Then you can link fraternity with human right. But within the country, let's see. If I say I am an individual belonging to one particular community, one religion, whenever anything happens to individuals in my religion only, I become very angry. Fraternity is something which is developed. Legal interventions have very much limitation upon that. Constitution tries to enforce it through preamble, and if you see specifically fundamental duties, 51A clause E, the duty to promote common brotherhood, fraternal feeling, etc. But apart from that, can you suggest me any particular law that deals with enforcement of fraternity? If you do not treat, if you do not develop that feeling of brotherhood, you will be punished. कौन सा law है? The emphasis on fraternity is very minimal. However, the significance of fraternity is very high. It has huge implications. Many of the problems of the Indian society can be resolved if we have that feeling. Fraternal feeling can help address many of the social problems. But the fundamental issue is that it cannot be legislated. The Constitution of India tries to enforce it through preamble. But you know that preamble cannot be enforced and in that manner. But still, if you see the various provisions of the Constitution, although they do not explicitly provide fraternity as a ground, but as you rightly said, equality, liberty and other things can also promote universal adult franchise. Fraternity, why? Everybody 18 years, unless disqualified, can vote. What is the idea? Citizenship. Citizenship idea, universal adult franchise, not caste, not color, not gender. Citizenship. But we are simply trying to say the Indian society experienced not a shared past, a tumultuous past. Tumultuous in the sense, some conflictual past, because of the division within caste and religion. On one fine day, the Constitution tried to develop the idea of fraternity in the minds of people through the organizing principle of citizenship. The earlier, the organizing principle of fraternity was communal, but it tried to bring a different organizing principle, which is more inclusive, citizenship. How far the Constitution of India succeeded? Whether the practice of fraternity in India is as per the constitutional principles. हमारा टॉपिक क्या है? Whether the fraternity in India is different from the idea enshrined in the Constitution. What is the idea enshrined in the Constitution? Fraternity based upon what? Citizenship, nation. How it is practiced in India? Do you think that fraternity is practiced as per the ideals of the Constitution? If citizenship is the basis upon which Indians see each other, that's what I'm asking. When you see anyone from, let's say, South India, what does it come into your mind? South Indian, Madrasi kind of thing. ऐसे आता है ना? या ये आता है कि इंडियन सिटीजन आ रहा है? क्या आता है दिमाग में? South Indian. Male, female. When male meet female, or female meet or see male, gender. Right? When you see that poor people, poor indigent individuals who are asking for alms, money, food, etc. क्या दिमाग में आता है? गरीब, काम नहीं कर रहा है, घूम रहा है, ऐसा ये दिमाग में आता है. बहुत सारे लोगों के दिमाग में आता है. Anyway, ये तो नहीं आता ना. Citizen, he is the citizen of this country and see his or her condition, I should help. It's a different matter that you help or not. Whether the feeling comes into your mind, that matters. It does not. The Constitution tries to break from the past by introducing modern principles, secular notions. But we are trying to see in Telangana, Muslims celebrated Gandhi Jayanti, can this be in chain of fraternity? Definitely, why not? Not only them, I mean, in across the country, we have examples of fraternity. We won't say after the lecture that there is no fraternity in India and fraternity is based upon communal lines. We will not say that. But anyway, before saying that, let us see the problems of fraternity. What is significance of fraternity? Very easy for you to understand. Right? Significance. Fundamental is unity and integrity of the country based upon that. Communal harmony is based on that. Development, peace, stability based upon that. It has multiple implications, multiple significance. But the point is that how do we see fraternity in this country at this point in time? We have provided you some examples, very significant number of issues. And you have been reading newspapers and definitely you have come across a lot of things. Just because some animals have been transported, individuals have been killed. Transportation of animals have been transported, some individuals, some individuals stop the truck which was transporting the animals and harass. Even incidents have happened that it is alleged that they have also killed these people, etc. There have been recently this communal violence happened in Nuh in Haryana. In 2020, communal violence happened in Delhi. Communal violence happened in Maharashtra, Manipur. This is happening. And it has been held that many laws have been misused by the government across the board. Some say that some communities are being appeased. Some say that some communities are being privileged. If you see social media, the kind of posts which have been circulated, Twitter, YouTube, even WhatsApp. If you see the mainstream media of this country, do you watch news? it is generally accepted that the mainstream media, especially media in the northern part of this country, is accused of polarizing the communities. Although the government wants sabka saath, sabka vikas, but the media is not helping the government. So, the status of the prevalence of the practice of fraternity in India is still communal than secular. Communal means caste, the identity marker, not communal in that sense. You have fraternity which is intra-communal fraternity. What about inter-religious, inter-caste, gender-based, north-south, rich-poor? What kind of fraternity is there? Hate speech, the Supreme Court had to intervene. Supreme Court had to intervene to prevent hate speech in this country. Although it has not stopped. Hate speech is an example of lack of fraternity or not? Why do you hate somebody? Why do you have hatred against somebody? What is the reason? If you see, if you believe, if you feel that the individual is Indian. So, but no, I think something else is the principle. All individuals belonging to this community is one, others are different. Prevalence of hatred in society is an example of lack of fraternity in this country. This is not only in India. If you see, there is emergence of right-wing politics across the world. Racism is an example of lack of fraternity. Poor black people have been killed by white policemen in USA. Racism. In China, the Uyghur Muslims have been, what do we say, exploited or harassed, even, I am not getting the exact word, persecuted by the Chinese government. There is class divided in UK. In West Asian ED, we discussed Saudization. Saudization means employment for Saudi people, not for others. But anyway, let us come back to our country. The large number of instances like mob lynching. Why do you think that if somebody eats something, what is the problem? Does eating something make that person different and un-Indian? Wearing some dress, food habits, vocation, kaam karna. All these become the basis of creating division in society. I am asking a question. Do you think that the Constitution of India failed in its experiment of imposing fraternity in a country which is highly divided? It was divided because of the caste and other factors, but the Constitution believed that the Indian citizenship will join, bind together, will create bandhutva among the people of country. But how far it has succeeded? What is the extent? To what extent we can say that there is fraternity in the Indian society? Or to what extent we can say that the constitutional ideal of fraternity is actually being translated into practice by Indian people? To what extent we can say that one of the foundational principles of constitutional morality, which is fraternity, the other being justice, liberty and equality, have been actually operationalized by the Indian state? Not this state, from 7 decades. How do you see that? What is your experiment? How many of you have the feeling of empathy when you see your fellow citizens suffer? How many of you? Is it a regular feeling, frequent feeling, or one-off? How many of you try to help others who are in real need? There are multiple challenges that fraternity in this country is facing. we may not be able to tell you, or we may not be able to take a stance that there is no fraternity or there is fraternity. Recently, I would say, there are multiple challenges that the idea of common brotherhood is facing in India. The organizing principle of fraternity is going back in history and becoming more communal oriented rather than more secularistic. The development of fake news, rights, revolt, lack of fraternity, absolutely, yes. The instances, mob lynching, communal rights, hate speech, politicization of religion, mob lynching, gender violence, caste violence, honor killing, selective application of laws, economic inequality. ये चीज भूल गया बताना. 1% individuals in India corner for almost 75% of wealth in this country. Rich and poor. Wealth. Can there be fraternal feeling? How do you link this? Economic equality or equity is necessary for having fraternity. कैसे link करोगे? If it's necessary that I'm saying that 1% group is controlling 75% and it is impacting fraternity. कैसे? How wealth is detrimental to fraternity? Wealth creates class. Wealth creates class. So, class creates divisions. Do you agree with your colleague? He says wealth creates class divisions. When there is class, it creates feeling of superiority and inferiority. No, I am not saying creation of wealth, accumulation of wealth. Creation of wealth is not an issue. Accumulation of wealth by a specific group or individuals is an issue. It creates lack of opportunities for others. When there is lack of opportunity, there is complex of inferiority and superiority. Fraternity as a principle has multiple dimensions, multiple implications, and multiple relations with economy, society, polity, culture. It is a very significant concept. But we in general, academics or society, we don't deal with this aspect. That is the reason we have decided to take up this opportunity to deal with the issue of fraternity. It is true that the Indian Constitution's experiment to enforce fraternity in a society which does not have a shared past and is still also divided on communal lines. However, we can say that there are various achievements of Indian Constitution. We cannot say that fraternity in India is based on communal lines only. This is a very oversimplification of the idea of fraternity. Having intra-communal fraternal feeling is not detrimental to having intercommunal fraternity feeling. Political parties in this country are generally organized on the basis of ideologies, secular ideologies. So political party, why do you think that people go for jada and campaign slogans, etc.? Why do you think? It is true that there are political parties in this country which are organized on the basis of caste and to some extent religion also. But there are many political parties in this country. In fact, one political party which have formed government in this country for almost, as you know, for a very long time, is held to be a party which is organized on the basis of secular principles. So political parties are organizations in which we have individuals coming together. Why they are coming together? Because they are driven by the ideology of the party. What is the ideology of the party? Welfare of people, social justice. It is not caste or class which have brought the feeling of togetherness. We all belong to this particular party. Belongingness, sense of belongingness. Political parties in this country have helped to develop the sense of belongingness. Not based on communal markers, but based upon secular principles. वेलफेयर सबको चाहिए, सोशल जस्टिस सबको चाहिए, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रॉब्लम सबको है, हेल्थ एजुकेशन सबको चाहिए. Can you give me any other examples to help? Because I am anyway. Can you give me any example to say that there is fraternity in this country? I mean, large number of instances. Whatever instances are happening, communal rights, etc., these are aberrations, one-off incidents. But largely, we can say that in the constitution and the government, it's through policies and schemes and various other interventions, and people in general have developed this idea of oneness, Indianness.
The fact that we are sitting in this class of people from different regions is an example of fraternity.
How it is fraternity? You have paid the fee and I am teaching you, you want to clear the examination. And in fact, all of you sitting are competitors. You are competitors. So what kind of brotherhood feeling you have?
Despite that, there is feeling of
Despite that, fine. Anyway. What else? Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. Yes, you can say that because the gender discrimination is a fact. So because of that, representation of women in high decision making bodies, including the political institutions, are very less. So the government, it is a consensus based legislation. Consensus based. Although दो लोग vote नहीं किया है, मतलब against किया है, but anyway, that's a different issue. Because the political parties came together in the parliament, which is the microcosm of the macrocosm, which is the people of this country. Parliament reflects the will and aspirations, feelings of the people. So they decided that we should end this gender discrimination, which is creating or affecting fraternal feeling. Fraternal feeling can be between men and women, female and male. Transgender Rights Act. Transgender. The Supreme Court judgment. I am saying the Parliament as an institution has taken multiple initiatives to address the problem or address the issue of lack of fraternity or challenges to fraternity in India. Recently, this Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. Anyway, I would say Women's Reservation Bill. Right, which is a very good step, because division can be based on gender. Reservation, affirmative policies, action programs taken by the government. You can write this EWS. The general category students had this feeling that only those individuals belonging to that category had a reservation. हमें नहीं मिल रहा है, feeling of fraternity नहीं होगा. देखो, now you also have reservation, तो दोनों को मिल रहा है fraternity, feeling of brotherhood. कोई बात नहीं, तुम्हें मिल रहा है, मुझे मिल रहा है, अच्छी बात है. Supreme Court, judiciary of this country has taken multiple initiatives. Specifically, they said in some judgment, one judgment is Nandini Sundar versus State of Chhattisgarh. Nandini Sundar versus State of Chhattisgarh. Nandini Sundar versus State of Chhattisgarh. In this, Salva Judum, if you know, Salva Judum or Judum, Salva Judum, the special police force of Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh government created a police force of civilians. And let's say they have recruited people from the tribal community and provided them arms and some training and said that your function is to prevent nationalism or create, let's say, help the security agencies to address the problem of nationalism in Chhattisgarh. Supreme Court have struck down this creation of Salva Judum because there are multiple arguments for that. One of the major argument is that you cannot create a civilian police force. You cannot say that you choose some individuals and you provide arms. If at all you want to create, you should create a proper formal security force like the police and other CRPF and others. You cannot simply arm the civilians. To provide security to the country, किसका काम है? स्टेट का. स्टेट का काम कौन करता है? पुलिस, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस. रिक्रूटमेंट होके ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि जनता जो है तुम ले लो वेपन्स. You cannot, Supreme Court have struck down the creation of Salva Judum. They said that you cannot create a civilian police force like this. This is a proper procedure. And only those members of those forces can use force. What happened is that the Salva Judum members have terrorized the local communities. Multiple instances of extortion, rape, and various other crimes have happened because of the members of these people. What they are creating by choosing some individuals from community, they are trying to, the court said that you are trying to create divisions in society, tribes against tribe, members of one locality against one locality. 4 लोग हैं, यहाँ से 2 लोगों को पकड़ के वेपन दे दिया. तुम्हारा काम है यहाँ पे क्या करना है? सिक्योरिटी मेंटेन करना. What will you do? When you get power, it's human tendency. When humans get power, they tend to misuse it unless it is controlled. In police, there is a structure, system, disciplinary measures, laws, rules, regulations, that if you misuse your power, you will be punished. It is unlike in this paramilitary force. Paramilitary in the sense, the civilian. Salva Judum. लोगों को ये वेपन पकड़ा दिया, बोलो तुम्हारा काम है इसको गार्ड करना. That misused it. It created problem for tribal community as a whole. The Supreme Court has emphasized the principle of fraternity in Nandini Sundar versus State of Chhattisgarh, in which Salva Judum, its creation, was struck down by the Supreme Court by violating fraternity. Spelling Salva Judum. Salva Judum. One of the recent cases where the Supreme Court has emphasized fraternity is Navtej Johar. Navtej. अरे वो वाला ट्रांसजेंडर केस नवतेज जौहर 2018. सब कुछ इसमें आएगा, डोंट वरी. In Navtej Johar case, Supreme Court has re-emphasized the concept of fraternity by providing equal rights to transgenders as well as those people having different sexual orientation. You are treating transgender as a different category, not as citizens of this country. When you read fraternity with dignity, as I mentioned, fraternity is necessary for promoting dignity of individual. Dignity means self-worth of an individual. Self-worth. If you treat individuals as citizens of this country, definitely you will provide worth to the individual. But when individual is differentiated or let's say segregated or mistreated based upon identity, then the dignity suffers. Article 21 of the Constitution has been interpreted by Supreme Court to include right to live with dignity. right to live with dignity, right to have a dignified life. Right to marry a person of his or her own choice. This is fundamental aspect of right to dignity and privacy under Article 21. Right to marry an individual of his or her own choice is a part of the right to life, privacy and right to dignity. How this is linked with fraternity? I belong to caste A, the girl belonging to caste B, or girl belonging to one religion, I belong to another religion. It has happened in Hadia case. जो मैं कह रहा हूँ इसमें है Hadia. In this case, Hadia. This lady wanted to convert and marry an individual from other community. She originally from another community. I am not using the community's name. ठीक है. And her father complained to the High Court and went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said she is above 18. Constitution provides right. जहाँ जिसके साथ शादी करने करो जाके, ऐसा नहीं. Right, dignity. Now what the judgment did? It tried to create fraternity. Like देखो, I mean, it's not right that just because of religion, you are or caste, you are segregating, differentiating people. You are saying that the person is the other. Otherness, the feeling of otherness is not right. We are all right-bearing individual citizens of this country. In Puttaswamy 2017, Puttaswamy, Supreme Court said that dignity, liberty and fraternity forms a troika of rights. Troika. ये interlinked है. Special Marriage Act promotes fraternity. When we write an answer, we need to make macro points. How do we write? If you ask me, let's say this question, to what extent you can say that there is fraternity in Indian society? It's a simple question. तो ये तो बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन है ना, कैसे लिखोगे? Need to have framework. So I am saying yes, there is fraternity. Second part. In that first I have given you parliament. How parliament is trying to do? One. Next I have given you judiciary. ऐसे लिखो ना, तभी वो मोटा मोटा आएगा, macro. Otherwise you will write simple points. I am saying parliament have done. Multiple have taken laws and even the executive have taken multiple policies and programs. Right from independence. Issue of reservation, even the recent, right, this women reservation bill. तो पार्लियामेंट का एक दो लिख दिया है यहाँ पर. After that, the Supreme Court have taken consistent approach towards promoting fraternity. केस 2-3 केस ये है. Now you can write, खत्म हो गया. कौन बच गया? Society. How society is trying to do? Civil society organizations, private sector. There is something called what we say. Let me ask you one thing. How private sector as an employer can promote fraternity? Or the market as a sector promote fraternity? कैसे? If the private sector does not discriminate on the basis of caste, religion, sex, married or unmarried, north, south, gender, race, but only hires individual based upon their caliber and quality. This will promote feeling of fraternity. Second, the private sector can provide some extra benefits to those people belonging to marginalized community, so that you provide some push to them. Affirmative action programs should not only be done by the government, but also by the market also. एक word है, मिल नहीं रहा. Anti-discrimination policies of the private sector can contribute to developing fraternity. It is not only in India. If you see USA, there is an equal opportunity commission in USA which deals with these aspects. Just having laws are not enough. Let's say I belong to one community, I want a room in Old Nagar. The landowner is not giving me because I belong to this religion. Now, how will you address this problem? For many discrimination which we face in life, we cannot have laws for that. But still, having laws are not enough also. We can have more laws. One law is anti-discrimination law. You need to address these kind of problems, which have been even discussed by a lot of scholars. Even one committee has been set up earlier, Madhav Menon committee. You know Sachar report highlighted the problems of Muslim religion and various other issues. So in the light of that, to address the problems of discrimination faced by various other communities also, the government of India set up a committee, Madhav Menon committee. This committee has discussed the need for an anti-discrimination bill in India and also to create equal opportunity commission. घर नहीं मिल रहा है, काम नहीं मिल रहा है, opportunities life में नहीं मिल रहा है. Madhav Menon. He is a Malayali. I am also from Kerala, so we call Menon. You can call it Menon. So society, you can provide, let's say, some organizations are promoting interfaith marriages. There are many areas where, let's say, a temple in Kerala, this Sabarimala temple, right? Anyway, leave that example. There are multiple festivals in this country which are jointly organized and celebrated. Find out some example how society is trying to promote it, especially the civil society or community as a whole. So you have almost 4 segments. The parliament, in which you can also include executive, or if you want another segment, you include parliament, executive, divide कर दो उसको, उसके बाद you write the judiciary, how it is being done, उसके society, and you can also take, if you want, example of individual, individual like let's say post independence के बाद कौन individual है जो fraternity के लिए काम किया था. 48 में महात्मा गांधी की डेथ हुई है, but still you can say that individuals, the ideal principles, the life of such great individuals like Mahatma Gandhi still inspire countless millions in this country. So the feeling is always there. Take some examples. Abdul Kalam, but you can search and find some examples how some individuals have changed it, right, depending upon the question. कैसे लगा? कुछ समझ में आया? नहीं आया? Like, you can ask. We have provided you a wonderful booklet. Multiple things have been written there. And it is not the right thing to reproduce what is written in the book. फिर क्लास में आने की जरूरत ही क्या है? You can ask your questions. I'll give you some quotes if you want. Let's say, Ambedkar has said that, I think it is given also in there. Ambedkar has said that without fraternity, liberty and equality will remain only mere pains of court. Mere pains of court. Liberty and equality will remain mere pains of court. Pains. अरे मतलब पेंट कर दिया तो चला जाएगा ना बाद में. This is what he is trying to say. ये भी लिखना है. Liberty. Troika. हाँ, यूनिटी ऑफ ट्रिनिटी ऐसे भी लिख दो, ये लक्ष्मीकांत में है सब, ट्रिनिटी थोड़ा सा ही है। हाँ, आस्क आस्क। You ask, don't worry, I'll answer.
You would have, of course, defined constitution like at that point. So like whether it's different from the idea enshrined in the constitution, so tangibly how it is different, and if yes, why it is so, if yes, how it can be addressed. So like we should be writing the 4-5 pointers so that we can directly address the questions if it is asked in the exam. So like
I have addressed the first question. The first question is whether how it is different, the fraternity. The Constitution of India tries to incorporate the idea of fraternity based on secular lines. But the society in this country, or even the history of Indian society, is communal. Communal lines. We cannot say that the fraternity in India is different from what is enshrined in the Constitution. When we are saying what is different, we are simply trying to say the idea and its practice, the gap that we are trying to address. Whether the intention behind the preamble is actually translated into action, that is one. So we are saying that to what extent is the question, we will address that. Yes, to a great extent, we can say that there is translation of the ideal of fraternity in actual practice. However, there are multiple challenges which the country faces, which we need to address. Second question is how it can be addressed. How it can be addressed? Okay. How it can be addressed? The institutions like parliament, society, and the legislature and the judiciary need to take more actions. In fact, it has to be individual centric. There are a multi-pronged approach is required to develop fraternity in the society. The leadership should be provided by the government and the state, because generally we see people in authority and how they behave. The change must begin from the top. Secondly, institutions like the family, educational institutions, should also try to develop the feeling of fraternity. घर पे अगर नहीं होगा तो बाहर मुश्किल है होना. If you do not love each other, if you do not have the family feeling within your family, if there is conflict, always conflict between brother and sister, parents and children, then they cannot have the friendly feeling or brotherly feeling or common feeling outside. Family, education, educational institutions should take the lead. There should be a Jan Andolan. Like there are multiple Jan Andolans in this country. Let us have a Jan Andolan for developing fraternity. स्वच्छता के लिए आंदोलन था, development के लिए जो Jan Andolan है. Let us have a Jan Andolan for developing the feeling of fraternity. Right? Let the Prime Minister take a lead, as he has taken lead in multiple domains, which and there was success. This idea of fraternity is underemphasized in Indian society, but it is very seminal. And if the problems of lack of fraternity, you know that whatever instances, dignity of individual is impacted, unity, integrity of the country, development, peace, stability, everything impacted. Linked.
Religious to secular ways of fraternity. But current situation in our nation is secular world is not India itself.
that no, the point is, one minute. If the word secular in the constitution abhi hai na, it is there. No, whatever that might be, if it, that is why we require a Jan Andolan to develop fraternity. No, I don't agree with that as concept. I don't. There might be some. This might be a view of some individuals belonging to some particular group or political parties or communities. but we don't think that this is the accepted policy of the Government of India. Government of India is a secular institution, and Government of India works as per the constitutional ideals, which is secular. Secular government will promote fraternity. Secularism definitely promotes fraternity. There are problems, we are not ignoring, we are not saying that there are no problems or challenges to fraternity in India, but to take that view that the constitution's approach or emphasis on fraternity or its enforcement of fraternity in a society has failed, this cannot be a conclusion. We are agreeing that there are multiple challenges this country is facing. I know it, and some scholars have also pointed that the challenges have become severe. And these challenges are not because of one political party, it is across the board. And this is not only a national issue, you can also see that problem in outside the countries also. So it's a modern, this is a current phenomena which needs to be addressed. Why do you want to take an extreme position that if महीने से इस साल से problem हो गया, पहले इतना नहीं था, right? You should think like a civil servant, not like a general common person or a journalist or something like that. Should not. Anything else you want to ask? What is it? Everything is given. I just wanted to give you an overview on that. The material is very well prepared, right? But it is necessary to have this discourse going on of fraternity. You may get a question. 1 second. You may get a question in essay also. It's not only limited to even you are part of sociology. You might get question it. Society, you will get a question. In polity, you might get a question. It has multiple implications. Not only that, you will get a question on ethics. Empathy. If you can link the concept of fraternity with empathy. Empathy, having the same feeling that others feel. There is a term public conscience. Public conscience. You have that word conscience in ethics. Law, rules, conscience as guide to action. Public conscience needs to be developed for developing fraternity in this country. Public conscience is equivalent to empathy. और पढ़ना है, हर्ष मंत्र ने लिखा है द इंडिया फोरम. जाओ घर पे, बहुत बड़ा ऐसे लिखा हुआ है फ्रेटर्निटी के बारे में. Then you will say that बंधुता there. ठीक है, ये मेरा इन्वेंशन नहीं है, but this is a very difficult topic to teach. ठीक है, बहुत सारे अलग अलग चीज़ हैं और फाउंडेशन नहीं है कि सब कुछ आज ही पढ़ाना है, है कि नहीं? तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, बट आई थिंक आई ट्राइड माई लेवल बेस्ट टू गेट यू सम काइंड ऑफ आइडिया अबाउट दिस. ठीक है. यस यस, बट that is what there's a need for a Jan Andolan for developing or imbibing the idea of fraternity. It's a very sad state of affairs. Yes, in some part of the country, but in general we can say that there is fraternal feeling in this country, and that's it. हाँ शिव प्रसाद, हाँ बोलो. अच्छा, you wrote the message. Fraternity in political context, ensuring that every individual dignity upheld and their rights protected, but somewhat not in New Delhi between state and central government exploiting ruling party person. Right, true, governor. You have written the entire polity or developments in that. Highlight train, Telangana, central government. Yes, it's true. Shiv Prasad, yes, you can please. Shiv Prasad, I agree with that. The leadership should show example. The leadership should show example. Leadership is not only political. Leadership can be our parents, me as a teacher, right? A brother, senior brother, elder brother, right? Senior citizen for that matter. Parents should show leadership. Religious scholars, leaders, they should show. It is not only political. Just cannot say that it is because politics that there is a fraternity. No, that might not be the correct case. Even states, you are saying center is exploiting. I won't agree with that. There are states also have equally responsible for many problems. ठीक है? एनीथिंग एल्स? चलो बंद करते हैं फिर. ओके, थैंक यू.